Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, yay. My friend here is setting up some watercolors because that felt like what we usually always do together. So we thought that
Yep.
would be great as we chat about what the past year and a half of your life has been like hanging out with me.
It's been great. It's been
Yeah,
it's been a lot of things,
a
you know?
lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were just talking off the recording about, yeah, it's a year and a half of your life that you're processing your life and how you live. So yeah, it has been a lot.
Yeah, is there anything else you need to grab?
I don't think so.
You have water.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people a year and a half, some people 6 months, some people a year, some people 2 years. That's one of the things that I think was really, really present early on for you and I was like, how much time is this going to take?
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was very eager. I don't know, I mean, I was eager to start, but I think somewhere in my head I was like, it'll be X amount of weeks. Like it'll be, I don't know what I thought. Six months, every other week. But the timing of it I really quite liked. Like it felt like a nice, I don't know, like a nice coming together. Like a lot can happen in 2 weeks. And to kind of go through the whole process. And sometimes I would be like right at the time where I'm coming to understand something. Sometimes it would just be coming in. Sometimes SSP would spark it, or feelings would be triggered, and then I would sit with that for 2 weeks, and then something else would totally come up. So I really liked how it was spaced out, where I've done therapy like every week or once a month. But yeah, I really liked how it was spaced out too, which I've never really thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a nice cadence for you and allowed for a lot of integration in between and enough life to happen in between.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was a good thing for me to come to that point where I was like, okay, when's our last one? And you were like, no. You have quite a few sessions left. And I was like, oh, it was good for me to sit with like expectation. And I mean, in hindsight, it's like it couldn't have happened any other way. Like the stuff that happened from the time I thought I would be done, which was like 6 months ago, I guess, or more even, to when we ended last week were really significant. And I don't understand the technology, but the arc for me was like very uncomfortable learning how it works, to kind of a little bit of a plateau, to like ramping up the intensity of understanding myself,
Yeah.
um to like coming down in the last few sessions, maybe the last 4 sessions, where it like kind of tapered everything, and I felt like there was a nice come down. And you know I don't share that because I think that's like how it is necessarily. I don't know, I only have my experience, but it it gave me the time to like follow something all the way through, and then I don't know, like conclude it in a
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it like set in, and I got some confidence, I guess I would say.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was just actually thinking this morning about um how there's so much more to learn about myself. I don't feel like I don't think there's anything that's worth engaging that will be like the end of the road. And that feels exciting, where in a way of that's patient and not urgent. Like I felt so much urgency. I had been relying on cannabis for 8 years. I mean, all this, so I'm just sharing it and,
Yeah. No, it's
to
good for people to
handicap
hear.
it. Yeah. Um, like so much stuckness, and just feeling like I can only make it through so far, and then I need some kind of a break. And
Mhm.
I used high demand religion, like that was just given to me because I was so lucky to be born into the Mormon cult. And And when that went away, it was like I immediately replaced it with cannabis. And at first it was like every now and again, and then it became really habitual. But to me, it was like, at least I'm not drinking alcohol. At least I'm only doing it every now and again. But it got to a point several months before we started where I was like, there has to be some other way where I feel like that's not the only thing I really look forward to. And like my creativity was wrapped up in it, how I spent my money, like where I vacationed. I mean, everything went through this filter and like it was like my thing. And it just like a lot of wires felt crossed. And when I started realizing that, then I was realizing like, oh, maybe this has something to do with how I grew up. Maybe this was like trained and maybe this is a habit. And I definitely came from a place of like, I want to heal this.
Hmm.
But I think what stood out when I heard you talking with Jessa and then again when we did our one-on-one before I signed up,
Hmm.
it was like this thing of like, yeah, this isn't healing. I mean, I can't remember exactly what you said. How would you say it now?
Yeah, it's not healing. It's not fixing. It's
Yeah.
not, um, you know, getting to an enlightened place or anything. There's no like make you betterness to it.
Yeah.
It's restoring you to that like open communication, um, connection with trusting your own system, that is something we're all designed to have.
Hmm.
So there's no like healing because we're not eliminating pain or fear. We're integrating fight, flight, and freeze and making them things
Hmm.
that we can daily connect with rather than, you know, being stuck in only fight, flight, and freeze, which is where something like a substance or a religion or an overwork or a
Hmm.
success seeking or something would give us like a break from fight, flight, freeze in a
Yeah.
way that looks almost like safety. Like security is
I'm
so
doing
different
something.
from safety. Yeah.
Yeah.
And security is sort of like our false safety that we're trained to achieve towards. So I feel like health is also this like false security because we're in dying bodies.
Well, okay, so that reminds me of like so many points along the way where I had to really confront things that felt like everyone wants to heal, everyone wants to be productive, everyone wants to whatever. And like realizing that these foundational things, to me, they felt
Mhm.
foundational, were scripts and were programs that I was basing so much of my like you said, security, identity, uh, and it just felt like like prior to SSP, unless I was smoking weed or making art, really. And those were difficult to separate sometimes. I
Yeah.
just felt like I always had a gun to my head, like this, like something's going to get me and I can't turn to it. I just have to keep running and moving forward and running after success. But then it was like with psychedelic use, I was like, there's something there where it's like you can accept
Yeah.
in that space. There was something where it was like, I made the little quip earlier about being so lucky to be born in like the Mormon cult uh, as a joke. But I think in that space, it felt like, yeah, like that's okay. It's okay. There was information there, but I
Yeah.
didn't have really any tools except for trying to grip it like intellectually. I couldn't feel safe about what had ever happened in my life or what was in front of me because my nervous system was so run down.
Yeah.
Um, but in SSP, there have been some very confronting moments, like
Yeah.
you touched on the health thing. Um, I want to share like a little bit about what I do when I'm listening to
Yeah.
the thing. I think that could, well, I was surprised in the beginning. I knew that there was something you like put, you like listened, you get these headphones, and I was really surprised how uncomfortable that was just right from the get-go. And I've been a creative entrepreneur, like making visual art in the world for the last 17, 18 years. But art for pleasure, really, or just like art for fucking around, art for like goofing off, just spending time, always felt like I was under such a threat because I was wasting time. And when I traced that back, I realized I had felt like that even as a kid. So the only way I could justify creativity was through the lens of like capital and making money at it.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had really probably from very early childhood had never really just sat with like goofing around and playing. Like even as a parent, it was really difficult for me to just sit with my kids and play with them. It felt like such a waste of time. It was like, no, that's what kids are supposed to do. But then tracing it back, I realized I hadn't even done that as a kid. And so that aspect of like, I started out with playing with kinetic sand, and then I went to uh, colored pencil, like coloring, and then I landed toward the end on watercolor. And I made some comment to you because we constantly come back to like, how does that feel in your body? Like, how is it to sit here? Do you need a cushion? Just that act of acknowledging like what the body's craving was very confronting because I realized that from needing to take a bathroom break to being too hot to having tension in my back, like I had been ignoring my body my whole life. And I also came to appreciate that like helped me, it like brought me here, you
Yeah.
know? And so again, it's that like this and this together was a constant theme. But when I came to watercolor, I made some comment to you like about it being healthier. Um, and to some degree, I'll say I still feel for my body, it's much more easeful to watercolor. It's much more this than like this, which they're all valid. I understand that. And like perimenopausal arthritic, it's more conducive to the body that I have now. And that I wouldn't have realized that had I not been in the
Mhm.
little tiny focus on this small articulation. And that I was grateful that you never said, like, why don't you try something like watercolor? That would be a lot more healthy. In my mind, almost in that moment, I imagined that you um, knew that. You knew it was all, of course, eventually, she'll come to find something that's healthier for her. And you really balked at that suggestion. You were like, I would never suggest that you do something healthy. I wouldn't even really think that way. And that was one of my favorite sessions because I was like, oh shit. Like, but wasn't it unhealthy to use cannabis? Wasn't it unhealthy to like always be like serving the like threat? Wasn't that unhealthy? And it's like, well, if you think so, okay. And they beget each other. So, and you can't undo those. You can't come to watercolor without the minutia of the tiny articulation. So, I share that because it seems so simple. Like on the surface of SSP, it's like you're going to put headphones on and you're going to knit. And when you want to stretch, you're going to stretch. But then in that stretching, you realize someone's watching you and maybe I look weird. And maybe I'm stretching too long. And it's like all these confronting things of like how you think you should be and how much that has like kept this tightness for me in my body. And I mean, like I I like knew that you were the person for me at that time and at this time. But the way that you've held space for, yeah, like go at it however you want. You want to take a break, you want to do 2 minutes and then talk. You want to talk the whole session. You want to share a story. Like there's been so much permission. And I've realized that having that modeled
Mm.
at a time and in a practice that's been so confronting has been like the best thing ever. It's I've been able to turn that inside
Hmm.
and see that like mentorship and use that to talk to different parts of myself.
Hmm.
And it's felt a lot more free. And I won't say that I don't feel that like pressure or the um, motivating factor of our world
Yeah.
of making money and staying busy. But I feel I have tools to talk to it and understand what it's trying to accomplish, and then to, with a bit more, I don't want to say maturity, but something like that, a
Hmm.
bit more experience, be able to determine like who's in charge, like what idea, what ideology, what motive is in charge. Um, so yeah, I mean, to me, that feels a lot more healthy because I don't feel like I'm being driven by some outside force. I feel um, a greater sense of surrender, but also a greater sense of self will.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that came on like, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like, I think where I anticipate that where I am in a year or 5 or 10 years with regards to that, like, push pull between surrender and exerting my own will be much different than it is now. But looking back, like, I just felt like I was being compelled and driven in a way that I was not participating.
Yeah.
I was actively trying to get out of it using
Hmm.
whatever I could
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
seemed healthy enough to not like kill me.
Mm.
And it's crazy to think about. Um, and I needed this time to do it, obviously.
Ah, that's so beautiful. I love what you just said about participating. That feels like a word that feels very resonant. Like when we're just in the running from the scary, we don't have access to choice.
Yeah.
And that's what participating is, right? Like I'm doing this because it feels meaningful to me.
Yeah.
I'm making a choice. And you're right, the healthy word is so complicated, right? It's
Totally.
just so complicated. I love the word meaningful
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because, if I were to say to you, like, hey, it looks like the first time you were coloring, I remember you told me, my neck was cramped, but that's just because that's what happened when you draw.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
tell me more about
And I
that.
was like, well, you get yourself in this position and then it hurts and you just keep doing it until it's over. No wonder you don't like to draw. No wonder.
Yeah.
Sincerely, though, I didn't know that you could. I didn't know you could.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't know how else to put that. I don't know
Yeah.
how else. I don't know how you could.
Yeah.
But it's like when the body's frozen. Why are you whining? Why? You want to go outside? I got a dog that
A
wants to go
dog.
outside. Are we
Yep.
cool to pause
Yeah.
for just a sec?
Yeah, totally.
Let's go out. Come on. Um,
I
see,
pushed something.
it was you. You were supposed to do it. Okay, you were talking about meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were talking about like I didn't know I could. Like, am I allowed? I remember saying that to my therapist once. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to da da da. And she's like, who's allowing you to do anything? And I was like, oh, right. I'm an adult. Like, permission is there's Adrienne Marie Brown. I don't know if you're familiar
Mm-mm.
with her. She's really incredible human. Teacher, thinker, um, and she has a Radical Permission Institute or Institute for Radical Permission. And it's
Cool.
like, yeah, radical permission, autonomy. I think that's why all these kids and people are coming in with PDA because they're like, yeah, I am not gonna just follow rules. Like, what is that? What is that?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's, when you talk about like self will or like choice or autonomy. Um, if we're scared of someone getting us, then we're just living in reaction.
Hmm.
And for when you're under direct threat, that is the most meaningful way to live.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and what I didn't know about SSP specifically with regard to like how that plays out in a session is that there was conversation. Like I imagined that I would just sit down, put the headphones on, do my doodling, and then it would be done basically.
Mhm, mhm,
But it's wild. Um, in the app, so I don't download an app. Z tells me, how to use it, whatever. But at the end of all the sessions that we did together, you can see how sometimes I would do like only a minute or 3 minutes or something. A minute might be an exaggeration, but very little amount of time. And the rest of that session was processing, talking, exploring, playing with an idea.
mhm,
And that thing of permission, like am I allowed? It seems so absurd when you're like, okay, like I am a full grown adult and there's this part of me that got punished, got hit, got withheld from, was ignored, whatever the storyline was. And that part of me has just been in survival. So do we want to like talk about that a little bit and how useful it was to like go back in my mind and trace back like where did I first get that idea and that SSP had plenty of space for that.
mhm, mhm,
And I like to talk. I really like to story tell and I love to see patterns and connections between things and I love to figure out the right word for something. But there's a reason I'm here instead. I've done talk therapy and I have really close, loving relationships where I'm able to process and speak. And that's an important tool for me. But there's something about like when I started out, it was like this question of where do you feel that in your body? I don't. And so then to be like, when I draw, it hurts here. Then it's like, does that mean there's something wrong with me? Did I do something
mm,
wrong? Maybe I'm just not an
mm,
artist. Maybe
mm.
you know what? I've been fooling myself. You're sitting with all of that. You're sitting with all of that.
Yeah.
And just, it's like, where do you feel that in your body? Like, does that mean something? Like, if I feel it in my neck, are you privy to some information I don't understand? I mean, it's like you're really confronting the paranoia and the I don't know-ness but then to expand and like exhale a bit more into the will of like if the paper's here and and my legs are crossed, like how does that feel? And to say, I mean, it's so small, but like what if I uncross my legs?
Mhm.
What if I like extend my arm out? Even like what paintbrush do I like?
I
And then
remember when
just
you threw out all the
yes.
pencils that you didn't like. Yes, yes, yes.
And then like I took myself to Blick and I went and bought, a couple of colors that I liked. And it's like there's something so like yummy about like, ooh, like we're really drawn to yellow, you know?
Yes.
And
Oh,
then sometimes I don't even know if I like yellow, but we're doing it. This is
yeah.
what we're doing. This is what
Yeah.
feels good.
Mm,
And I'm allowed to do that.
yeah.
And look, no one's getting hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. That evidence that you get to build up for your nervous system in a new environment with new people. Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I like how you differentiated, or I appreciate how you differentiated like talk therapy or storytelling with friends to what we're exploring together, because
Mhm.
talk therapy and storytelling, there's a cognitive, there's like a performance aspect, there's like a what's going to sound interesting or healthy or,
Yeah, how do I capture them?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even in my talk therapy, I'm often like, you know what? I'm performing. Can we just be silent for a minute? Because I just wove that whole thing so that you would think I was good. Um, and
So good. I love it.
and what's nice about this is it's just like nervous system led, so the like pain in your neck, the nausea, the like, I hate this color, that
Hmm.
leads us to what has not been expressed
Yeah.
because maybe it wasn't palatable or interesting or a good performance to express it. And it's like, I'm just, sad because I want to be nailing it at watercolors my first time watercoloring. And that makes me sad. And that's not like a cool story to tell,
Totally.
you know? Yeah. Yeah, and it's so nice because, when you were mentioning like I imagined that you had known I was going to need to watercolor the whole time.
Yeah.
It just requires so much less of me to let your nervous system do what it needs to do. I get to just be here to be like, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like,
Mhm.
and it's such a joy because then I'm not trying to get us to some sort of contrived healthy
Yeah.
place or happy place or successful place, which then, makes me feel like I'm responsible for like teaching you how to be happy and successful or something.
Which, like you explaining that, that has often in my life, like been my own self concept that I have to have some kind of a something to offer the whatever, the person, the situation
Mm,
to, I don't know what, to something. I have to be valuable in some way, which,
value added. Yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
which goes back to, it does feel a little, yeah, it feels like a performance for sure. If you're on the other end of that and you're trying to drive someone in a particular direction. Um, I keep thinking I'm like very conscious of time right now
Oh
for
yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
I really want to bring up like how the like we've talked about the will thing, but I keep thinking about like surrendering to what your body needs or to what, yeah, to what your body needs and to also what's happening, like the surrender piece.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it was just prior to SSP or like when I was onboarding, I guess. That's such a silly term. What's the term that's as I was
Onboarding works.
as I was calling it in.
We don't need to make it sound spiritual.
But it's funnier. Um, when we were starting,
Yeah.
which was a little bit of a process, it's like scheduling and whatever. I moved into my own room. I have a partner, very strong relationship, very much love them, very much wanted to be in my own room. And the way that that came up against these like constructs of what a couple does or what partners do or how you spend your time or where you sleep or how you sleep and how that affects intimacy and conversation at the end of the day, like it was very upending.
Hmm.
And it was radical for me because there were things that I needed to do in private, even just like learning how to like rock or if I wake up in the middle of the night, or to pull out my journal when I feel inspired, and to do that without being perceived
Mm,
or feeling considerate of another person.
hmm.
Am I allowed to? Just kind of skipping that step, because my partner's like, you can turn the light on anytime. Like, do whatever you need to do. I'm like, I appreciate that permission, but like, I cannot do that.
Gonna be too hard. Yeah.
That's too. I can't. I'm too aware of you, and I don't want to wake you up, and yada yada. So that was a huge one that has continued to like bear really beautiful fruit in my own following of my passions and doing things that I like, and giving myself that privacy, which is so important for
Mhm.
me. Having privacy, having alone time, and not being called upon um, by anyone else's need, and the permission as like a parent to
Mm.
shut the door and allow that signal to be a boundary of my own personhood outside of the role that I fulfill has been so beneficial. So there's that. But then I want to talk about like my kids too, a little bit about what
Yeah.
that's done. I don't know if we have time.
Let's take 5 more minutes.
Okay, cool. I came into this with some real years and years and years of like friction with one of my children, and really an inability to hold any space for anything that was above like just real chill. So I was always problem solving, like maybe if we get up earlier, maybe if we get up, maybe it's diet, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Because anytime they did this, I would go up and over and just try so hard to suppress what they were
Oh.
expressing,
Hmm.
which
What a visual.
is it feels really liberating to understand that now. But
Mm.
I had so much shame about it. It felt so automatic.
Yeah.
And then I would have the shame of like, oh, I'm a really bad mom. Like, I don't know how to show up for them. And that on one end, and then the other end of like, maybe I'll just never be close to my kid. Like, because I understand that I'm playing a part here, and I can't show up for them. Like, I just can't. Maybe this is how it is. And so that, like, both of those, coming in and realizing how much it was me my whole life, that anytime this happened, I would suppress it. And that it was being played out in other relationships, like just no space for any kind of anger, frustration, negativity. It's like, well, like trying to bring everything down, because I was just like already like so tight that it's like, if that twists one more quarter turn, the whole thing, the whole violin is just going to snap in on itself. And uh, I mean, I don't know how to like wrap up what happened, because it's still happening.
Mm.
But giving them space, giving them time, giving them the grace of like youth to be able to learn these things on their own terms, because it's never been really played forward for me in the sense of like, I need to take what I'm learning in SSP and teach my kids. It's just, it's like they're going to come to the things that they come to. But if I stay grounded, recognize when I'm not, excuse myself, give myself what I need, put the mask on myself first, then when they're doing this, I can just stay right here,
Yeah.
and their process will eventually bring them back down here, and they've been able to come up against and push against like whatever I can hold for them, that I can hold for myself, and that those are the same. um
Mm.
it like feels like, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it truly feels the amount of pressure and sorrow and shame and grief that was tied up for 7, 8, 9 years, to have that like just soften a bit. It feels truly miraculous.
Oh.
And I feel excited and hopeful, and there's more
Mm.
conversation, and there's some retrospecting type conversations. Anyway, the whole, and
Mm.
because of that, the whole family dynamic has changed, and we're looking at things we've never looked at, and
It is a miracle.
it it completely is a miracle.
Oh,
And it's very hard work.
yeah,
And you make a
yeah.
bunch of drawings and cry some cries if you want to cry some cries. That's what I did.
Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful truly for your willingness, for your frustration, for your I need it to be done sooner, for your what are we even doing? All of that. Um, the times when you didn't perform,
Yeah,
the times when you're like, I don't want to go talk to the little young part and do this stupid thing, charade. It's like, thank you. That's such an honor to
totally.
receive. It's something we so rarely get to experience. And what happens when we put down that performance, when we do it wrong?
Yeah,
It is actual intimacy.
totally.
And when your kid is allowed to do it wrong
Yeah,
and you're allowed to be like, I know I can't make it better. That's also intimacy.
totally. Well, it takes two, the co-regulation experience of it and like just drawing on your life experience and the offering. It just like it felt like this the whole time, and it didn't matter what I put there, or like you said, the frustration. Yeah, it was like many times like, oh my fucking god, I don't want to do this.
I do.
It's just like i don't I don't like this. It's not that I was like traumatized doing, triggered or whatever, doing this stuff, but it was sometimes it just felt dumb, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes it just feels stupid,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
like, I gotta pay bills.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are we doing?
Who's gonna pay the mortgage? I know. Yeah, it's wild. It's it's so many things and so difficult to put words to it. So thank you for sharing some of your words
Of course,
and
thanks for offering this to the world and
yeah.
being there when
Oh
I
my
needed
God.
to find you.
It's my greatest joy. I will keep holding my hands out. I like to picture myself just like I've probably said this before, like have a table of snacks. Like you
Yes.
can have them if you like. You don't have to take them. Like if you want, like as long as I've got a table and snacks, I will be here. And I don't know how long that will last, but I love it so much. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and for being willing to
Mm,
share. And I'm so glad that we're not saying goodbye.
yes. Yep. We
Um,
don't do that.
yeah. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna end the recording and then we
Okay.
can say see you later.
Thank you so much, Z.
Yeah.